Everybody knows that there is hunger, poverty, and malnutrition around the world. But what if there was an easy way to help people less fortunate through community efforts? Help people for an infinite amount of time. How? By making their lives easier in more permanent ways. Here at Los Gatos High School, we're thinking of unconventional ways to combat global problems. When you solve environmental problems, it can benefit people's lives in more ways than one.
At Los Gatos High School, students formed the Garden for Ghana Club after learning about environmental and other community issues experienced by people halfway across the world. Their goal was to improve the lives of local villagers in the town of Yamaranza.
I started the club after learning about the village of Yamaranza, Ghana from my neighbor, Ellery Middlebrook, who was the president of the California Native Garden Foundation. I did an internship at her center this summer, and she assigned me a project of getting high school students involved in this project. We started talking to a college local to the villages in Ghana. Students shared about some of the problems experienced there.
During our practicums, we've identified so many problems ranging from health to environment to agriculture, which this project is targeted at solving. And as you can see behind me, one of these big challenges in this community is soil erosion. And the soils in this community has been eroded.
First, it was a challenge to figure out how to integrate a project like this into our high school curriculum. However, I decided to start a club to allow a few interested students to participate. Eventually, we established 3 different groups in the club that essentially work together to help solve ecological and economic problems in Yamaranza. As part of the plant group, we find and document plants that allow for a safer, healthier, and economically adept village of Yamaranza. We have several categories, such as in a checklist, such as restoring habitat, long-term sustainability, food plant providing income and relying on available resources. And for each of the plants that we have here, we check the boxes and provide a description so that we can decide which plants we might want to use. And we also need to take into account the soil type in Yamaranza. So when it controls erosion, we need to take note that the soil is sandy with clay and gravel and hills, and it's rich in iron and aluminum, as well as the plants need a certain amount of water that corresponds to the amount of rainfall in the region.
In the landscaping group, we work to figure out how to arrange the plants in order to make the garden be useful and sustainable.
And I'm the head of the design team for the Garden for Ghana project. Basically what we do on my team is we're designing the landscapes for the areas that we are planting in Yamaranza. So what we do is we start with a photo of an area, and in these photos you can see that the land is very dry, it's very eroded, there's no nutrition in the soil. Figuring out an effective way in which we can plant the native plants into the area, which will return nutrients to the soil and which will help hold the soil together. So we start with these photos, we blow them up really big, and then we have a semi-transparent paper that we overlay on top of it, and then we trace the basic outlines of the buildings and structures like that. And from there, we draw in how we're going to lay the plants out in the area that will restore the soil.
Between the 3 groups, students learned how to design more sustainable practices for Ghana by working in their own backyard. They created a simulation planting project to mimic the methods that will be implemented in Yamaranza.
Join Garden for Ghana because it's a great experience in learning how to help people, not only in our community, but around the world. And even though, like I said, it's not right in our backyard, it's more about helping people and making the world just a little bit of a better place rather than the community service hours.
With Garden for Ghana Club, students have helped their community learn to create sustainable models for both local and distant communities. By simply planting roots in the soil, you can positively influence the world from the ground up.